All right, let me bring you right into that moment. Just like you're sitting across from me in a booth at some late-night diner, shaking your head in disbelief at how some folks act when they think nobody's watching. You want a story that doesn't let up? Here it is. The moment I realized power doesn't always come with noisy, it's in the silence that lands like thunder. So picture this. It's a regular morning at First Capital Bank, fluorescent lights, sanitized air, and that low hum of small-town confidence that says everyone here knows their place. I walk in Zara, called well nothing flashy, just a navy blazer, a cream blouse, sensible shoes, and hair pulled back like I've got better things to do than impress anyone. I needed $20,000 in cash for the Harris Familia Group that's kept my company spotless for years and just lost their patriarch. It was about dignity, not charity, and to me, that mattered more than the billion-dollar deal I had brewing at noon. Now, I knew what was coming the second I stepped in. Belle, the teller, barely glanced up. Her professional smile didn't touch her eyes, and I could see her scan my face, my clothes, maybe even the color of my skin because, let's be honest, people read into all that. "How can I help you today?" she asked with that drawl of politeness that doubles as a challenge. "20,000 in cash, please," I replied, sliding my debit card across. Let me back up a sec. $20,000 doesn't sound like much in some circles, but for most folks it might as well be a briefcase of diamonds. Belle's eyebrows jumped so high I thought they'd disappear into her hairline. "We'll need more identification," she pressed, her voice carrying just enough for the folks in line to start paying attention. Suddenly, it felt like everyone was watching, a little curiosity, a little suspicion. The bank manager, Glenn, lingered behind his glass door. The other tellers exchanged glances. They weren't subtle about it either. It's funny how people decide who belongs, isn't it? I handed over my driver's license, then my passport. Belle took her sweet time, acting like she was James Bond, scanning for forgeries. And then, just as she finished counting the bills, she accidentally let the stack slip off the counter. $20,000, scattered at my feet on purpose. I don't care what she says. There was a little gasp, a snicker from the next teller, and the bank lobby suddenly felt a lot smaller. You know what I mean? That kind of humiliation's got to taste sharp, metallic, like biting your tongue on a word you can't afford to say out loud. I took a breath, stooped down, and gathered the bills, one by one, every motion deliberate. I didn't look up. I didn't have to. They all saw meth, nobody cleaning up her own mess. The one person who looked uncomfortable was a guy in a charcoal suit in the waiting area. Our eyes met. For a split second, I saw shame not at me, but for the whole rotten spectacle. I thanked Belle, voice steady as granite. "Have a nice day," she managed, but the edge in her voice was gone. I walked out into the sun, my back straight, my bag a little heavier not from the cash, but from all the stares and assumptions I carried out with me. The man in the suit followed, but I left him behind. I had bigger things on my Minda, grieving family, a multi-billion-dollar merger, and a legacy that I wasn't about to let anyone define for me. Back at Caldwell Tower, the world made sense again. Security guards greeted me with warmth. My assistant, Dev, was already juggling a dozen crises, but I handed him the envelope. For the Harris family. Quietly. No charity, just respect. That's how I like it, Phelp. That doesn't announce itself. But that man in the charcoal suit, turned out he was Peter Langdon, a big shot at Reynolds Logistics, the very company I was about to acquire. He'd seen everything at the bank, and, wouldn't you know it, he wanted to talk. Said he was sorry he didn't step in. I told him the truth. Silence is its own kind of choice. He nodded, looking like a man who'd just discovered a splinter in his soul he couldn't ignore. Twist is, the whole thing didn't stop there. Rosa, another teller, reached out to my team. She made a copy of the security footage before Glenn could have it deleted. "My mom cleaned offices for 30 years, she told me, and she taught me respect costs nothing. That was courage you don't often see. I offered her a job entry-level analyst at my company. She accepted, tears shining in her eyes. That's how you know someone's heart is still open." Meanwhile, Belle was busy making TikToks about her promotion to senior teller. The universe has a way of turning the camera back on you, doesn't it? Her smugness went viral after the footage of my cash hitting the floor hit the news. Respect costs nothing, That hashtag started trending, and First Capital's stock tanked overnight. Investors got skittish. Corporate clients started pulling out. Bell's world unraveled just as fast as mine had stayed intact. The bank tried to do damage control, but you can't paper over a culture that's rotten at the roots. Glenn and Bell both got shown the door. Rosa became a hero online. Peter, the Reynolds exec, resigned from his board in protest, wrote an op-ed about silence being complicity. Suddenly, every boardroom from New York to San Francisco was whispering about doing a Caldwell, about the cost of casual prejudice in a digital age where everything is seen, everything is shared. And me? I stayed quiet mostly. Moved $80 million in corporate accounts out of First Capital on the very day our merger was announced. I didn't sue, didn't grandstand, just walked in with my legal team, closed out the accounts, and left Belle staring after me like she'd just seen her future slip away on a slip of paper. Respect costs nothing, I told her, but the lack of it just cost you $2 billion. That line ended up everywhere. Funny how words can travel when you barely raise your voice. The fallout didn't stop. First Capital was bought out by Liberty Union, a black-owned credit union with a reputation for justice and fairness. Now, there's a twist. Belle's mother, a legendary civil rights lawyer, called a press conference to apologize for her daughter's behavior. Belle herself? Fired, blacklisted, forced to rebuild her life shelf by shelf in retail. Her name reduced to a badge with just B on it. That's not just a fall. That's gravity with a sense of irony. Meanwhile, the Althea Caldwell Institute, named for my mother, the original fighter for dignity, launched with $2 million of my own money and another $10 million in matching donations. Rosa became its first fellow. We offered full scholarships, childcare, and mentorship for women who had never had a fair shot. Power that lifts others, not one that weighs them down. Months went by. I got a letter from a little girl named Ava who wanted to win without yelling. I visited her school, handed out journals that said, "Your voice matters. Use it wisely." The world shifted. A little banking reform passed. Zara's clause written in a law to force bias training and oversight in every institution. Quiet power, changing the game. You know, people still ask if I ever regret not making a scene, not suing, not fighting back in the traditional sense. But sometimes the real fight is to show the world how much can change when you hold your ground with dignity and move mountains in silence. My mother said, "Don't raise your voice. Raise your power." I finally understood what she meant. So here's my question for you. If you saw someone humiliated for no reason, but the way they looked, what would you do? Stay silent, or let your actions speak. Maybe it's time we all ask ourselves, what's the real cost of respect? And is it a price we're finally willing to pay? If this story made you think, if it made you feel, share your thoughts below. Let's talk about what it means to lead, to stand up, and to change the world quietly, one choice at a time.